She did all the work. I supervised. This is a 2018 Ford Transit. I took a lot of parts out of my Sprinter I lived in for 7 years and transferred them into the Transit. And I'll walk through what I did here. I'm going to be scrunching under the bed. This carpet is very, very helpful when doing this electrical work. I highly recommend carpet or some kind of pad before you start your electrical work, because you don't want your knees on some kind of surface like that. So the Sprinter van that I lived in had this Tesla module and Victron inverter charger transfer switch. This took me about a month to install, and I came in behind somebody else's work, so this was a camper van that looked much different than this. And I took most of their stuff out and put mine in, and it just so time consuming to do it right. So I used 10/3 wire for the shore power coming in, and that way I get a direct 30 amps of charging instead of using this kind of, what is this, maybe 14/3 wire, significantly smaller. So this is coming out to power the appliances, so the transfer switch is in there, and then the appliances get powered through here. So I get power to the appliances whether I'm plugged in or not, is what I like about the built-in transfer switch. Because of this battery module didn't come with a BMS that would work for just one module alone, but rather for 16, but I only need 1 or 2 modules. I created this system that I talked about in previous videos for BMS to balance the cells. And so since I have that kind of switch to turn it on, right now it doesn't display the cell voltage because I'm using the balancer cable for a reading up front to see what the voltage is coming from the module. So you can see the balancer cable going from the battery module out to the front of the vehicle. So if I were to balance it, I would disconnect and plug it in there. And that reminds me, I need to buy a Y cable, a 6-cell Y cable. The previous builder did do something cool here. He put in this thermostat that will blow hot air out of the battery compartment, out of the battery bank compartment there. It should be a little higher because heat rises, but he put it down there. And it's easy to program. Just simply push set. See, it's about 93 degrees now. Push set. If I want it to come on at 92, I thought it would come on. Let me try again. Set. There. Has to go a little bit lower. And it automatically will blow air out. That's pretty cool. What else over here? There's shore power outlet to power something like an electric space heater, in case you don't want to use your own fuel when you're plugged in to campground power, for example. And this one here is coming from the inverter. Like I said, those are coming from the inverter. Here with these wires, I will need to eventually get a concealant cover, like a black cover that goes over those. And over here is the step down from 24 to 12 volts. Here is shore power only. Also, like I say, for whatever you want to plug in there while you're plugged in shore power, as to not put strain on the inverter battery system. Oops, forgot to put the cover on this. So this one is the 12 volt DC, and there's another one on the other side right there. So I have 12 volt DC on both sides of the vehicle, as well as going out to the front. So here, this one goes to the front cab that will power a thing such as cell charger and video cameras that will be running 24/7, as to take stress off of the van battery and not run it down. A pretty large breaker box for a camper van. He put it in upside down, so I reoriented this sticker and it works upside down. This is formerly he had a transfer switch there. I took it out and I put a electrical energy management system in here. Electrical management system, 30 amp rated. And I believe what this does is prevents dirty shore power from damaging electronic components in the RV. And so the reason I have shore power coming in from here, line input, it comes in from here and goes out back into the breaker. This before the breaker is because there are auxiliary outputs in the breaker to power appliances that wouldn't otherwise get the clean energy from here if it were the other way around. There is a cover that goes over this right there, so I'm leaving it off just to show you. And the same over here, there is a big cover that goes over this, but until I'm completely done, I'm leaving it off for access. I was mentioning to Corey, which he agrees, that I use to get the 10-3 wire, I use an RV cord, such as the kind you use to get shore power, and I cut the, I don't know what you call that, pigtail or whatever, a receptacle. I cut that off and use this wire because it's cheaper, for unknown reason, to buy a whole new cord than it is to buy the separate wire. And in this case you get more wire because typically these are pretty long, and then you have the extra cords you can use for future, who knows what I might use this for, as an adapter for something. And the same thing with the other end. What this strange thing here is just simply shore power that's powering this cable to that power strip over there. I don't really need that. It's just I have all these extra parts and I'm just putting them in there. There will be a day, for some reason, I will need it. Who knows? Very nice. He installed a 120 outlet conveniently right there. You open the back door, you can plug in your electric whatever, pressure washer or whatever, and get power from your RV battery. That's so cool. I took this back door panel off because I'm getting ready to reinforce it to install a mini split 9000 BTU compressor directly on the back door, and instead of using a bracket that's coming from the hitch, it's going to go directly on the back door. I haven't seen anyone else do that yet. I have a lot of experience doing that because can't see it now, but on the back of the Sprinter I have a lot of boxes mounted on the back door where I mounted a generator directly to the back door, and a lot of people say, oh no, the hinges are too weak, but I disagree. That's a hell of a hinge. There's two of them. That's gonna hold the 60-pound condenser with all of its associated parts, coming out to a total, it should be about 60 pounds. And then the air handler I plan on putting over there. I have to take one of those lights out to get it to fit in there. I don't know if when I install the mini split compressor on the back door, Corey, let me know if you know if I'll be able to open the door ever again because of the copper line, or do they sell flexible line from the condenser to the air handler where it can handle that kind of stress, that kind of movement? I don't know. I've watched other people's videos and they don't say. This took me a long time to do this changeover, much longer than I thought. What the original builder, I know it looks really bad, but as I said before, I'm going to get this cleaned up. He had these two lead acid batteries, a cheesy MPPT, and a water heater, a smaller one, 3-gallon. I swapped my bigger one I had in this van for this smaller one. The sink wasn't as nice, so I swapped it. Getting ready to swap it. Cheesy inverter, continuous 1200. That's kind of wimpy. That's like your bare minimum for a RV. And he had a high quality charger. As I mentioned before, that's a surprise to see that in there with all that other cheap junk, to suddenly have this thing. And look at this mess. The reason this is so messy, I had to fix a leak, a water leak. I did get it fixed. There's a diesel heater. The new Campervan doesn't need a diesel heater with a heat pump that's built into the mini split. Now, what I do like about the Sprinter versus the Ford Transit is it has this inverter air conditioner I'm going to miss dearly, because although it sticks out the back, it is super quiet, super efficient, and it's just amazing. I love that thing. I don't like how it looks out the back, but the function is number one. Here are the boxes I was mentioning before. Like, for example, that air conditioner weighs, I think, 50 pounds, about the same as that compressor. And this door has been holding it up just fine, and I can open and close. All right, you haven't seen the inside much yet. So beautiful build. Fridge, microwave, pretty big TV that swivels down so you can watch movies with a DVD player on the bed. I swapped out the bed for a bigger one. You got a smaller one in here. And I put storage over there, remote control for the new fan where there used to be a noisy, large, inefficient air conditioner. Built-in indoor shower here. Turn it on and off here instead of reaching down. It goes into a 5-gallon water heater. Reverse osmosis filtration system with a gauge right there that tells the water quality when it runs. And here I can see the voltage of the Tesla module. That's where that 6-cell cable is coming from I was talking about earlier. The way I would take a shower is to put in a 32-inch dog pool here, plastic PVC, 8-inch height, and then erect 2 shower curtains by attaching them to these hooks on top, and take a shower right here. And it's going to drain through that hole there, out through the other side, into 18-gallon holding tank under the vehicle. Those holding tanks are pretty challenging to install. This one didn't have one. I never could figure out how to put one in. Kind of have to custom order that size. Induction stove. Convenient location for GFCI outlet. Let's see, lots of USB ports there. This van has a controller for really nice lights here. They can be dimmed. And some this one's not working. I have to troubleshoot that. This is from when the Ames inverter has a communication cable. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in its place, but that should be replaced with something else, perhaps another one of those, because I like to look at my voltage everywhere I'm looking. I want to see what my voltage is. Eventually I'm going to put a voltage gauge up front that'll tell me what my battery voltage is, so that when I'm driving I have these. This is a rare setup here that I need to clean up the wiring. So those are two buck boost DC to DC chargers from the alternator to the battery. They both put out, I think, something like 100 amp 12 volt equivalent, so that would be 50 amps of 24 volts. I'm not sure what capacity of a thumb drive I can put in there to possibly watch movies from, because I don't really deal with CDs and DVDs anymore. So I'll be looking into that to see if I could watch movies from a thumb drive or not. There's a lot of space used up there for just two speakers, and then a small storage there. He has a pantry here I need to build shelves for. Why he didn't put shelves in there, I have no idea, but certainly needs shelves. That would help tremendously with storage, to have a whole bunch of shelves going up this thing. You can put a lot of stuff in there, and there's a tremendous amount of storage under the bed in secret compartments. I'm probably the first one to ever do this in a RV, but I have a separate dual stage filtration system. This is just for the water heater, because these water heaters collect a lot of corrosives, iron or whatever builds up on the heating element. And because we're getting dirty water from the campgrounds and even our own homes. He used to have a wooden door that you'd have to pull up to access under here, and I eliminated that with just a curtain instead, because that door was really heavy and you could hit your head on it trying to lift it up. A really nice Class B motorhome. For the loo, he has a porta potty, but I prefer using this over a trash can and putting chemicals in here and then throw that away. So there is no plumbing for the toilet, as opposed to my Sprinter. I do have the toilet plumbed in, which is useless when there's no holding tank. Forgot to mention, the electrical management system has a display, tells me what voltage, how many amps it's putting out, and whether it has any errors. And then it has cross-reference error codes down there. View from rear to front. Some things left for me to do. I have this 24 volt fan that's high power. It's going to go in there for added cooling. I have a box full of security cameras to install. Here's my surplus 4 and 2 gauge wiring, and then surplus other miscellaneous wiring. When I get the Sprinter fixed up ready to resell, I'll be using that surplus wiring, possibly some of it. The Ford Transit has these two lights that come on when you open and close the doors, and they stay on sometimes indefinitely. And so I pulled them out and disconnected one wire on each side, because when I'm lying on the bed, I don't want those lights there unless I have a controller. The controller's way down here, out of reach, so it's not practical to reach down and turn the lights on and off there. And in order to move the switch from here to there, That's just not going to be very good for resale value of this vehicle, because then it would just take an enormous amount of time to get that to look right. Oh, I just found the cover for this. It's kind of awkward. There. I'm going to miss that big water tank the Sprinter has. I may put a big one in the Ford also. Sprinter also has BMV 712 installed, going up to there, Victron battery management system. I'll either take it out, put it in the Ford, or buy a new one for the Ford. I like the fridge better that's in here. It's bigger and has a glass front door that you can't scratch. And this one has vinyl in front instead. And when the sun hits that vinyl, it heats up. It puts out a lot of heat, versus this glass, it doesn't. The original builder put in a bench seat that's permanently mounted. I mean, I could remove it, but I'm not going to, so that passengers back here can actually use a seat belt. All right, that's about all I can think of. So I'm really welcoming your feedback on mounting the split mini condenser on this back door. I will be using a metal brace bracket, so it's not going directly on the back door literally, but rather this goes on first and then the condenser. That's my plan so far. This weighs a lot, so I don't really like using that, but I think that could be necessary to put that on before the condenser, because if the condenser is directly on the back door, then I just tripped over her water. I wish I had $1 every time I tripped over dog water bowls around here or throughout my life. So if it's mounted directly on the door, there may not be enough ventilation on the back side of it. I'm not sure. What do you think?